Hi, welcome to another conversation with ASTD. I'm Kristen Fife Mills, Senior Manager of Communications here, and joining me is Carrie Bluston, who is in charge. Your title is so long. I'm just going to say you're in charge of the government sector and the government community practice and the publisher of the Public Manager. We're going to talk about all of that, but thank you for coming in. I'm not going to talk about what kind of day it is today. It's Carrie's birthday today. Probably won't be when you watch this, though, so never mind. Anyway, happy birthday. Thank you for taking time out to speak with us. Government. If you're in the United States, you know that it's been kind of a crazy month, so I want to talk about some things that we're doing related to the government shutdown, but take a step back and talk about the government community, who you're serving, what they're doing, and what you have on tap for them.
Sure.
So give us an idea of who these people are when we say government learning.
So essentially we're talking about all government. We do have a focus because we are in DC on the federal government, and we've started branching out from there to state, local, university, and eventually we'll start incorporating some international programs as well. And the audience of government is also a wide range. It's anyone who, from being a learning designer, trainer on the ground to the chief human capital officer or a CLO in a government agency.
So that's a wide swath of skills and knowledge that you're serving, and how are you serving that really broad array of folks?
So to best do it, we look at all of the topics that ASTD covers, and we try to narrow in on which ones are specific to the challenges that the government faces, and then we either tailor the content so that it better speaks to the government audience, or we throw it all out and create new programming. Another important element of the government community practice is just that word community. It is important to be able to speak peer-to-peer, and speaking to someone in the private sector, it doesn't resonate as much all the time for someone in government. So we try to really create events and opportunities for the government people in learning and development in government to be able to really interact, to have somebody to call the next day when they have a crisis and they need to.
Well, and that's a good point that you make, because we've talked about communities of practice and kind of the aim that we have here in creating that a way to serve our members and customers. And one of the things that we knew specifically about working in the government is that it is so different than working in the private sector. And so to be able to have resources that are targeted to what you're doing, to your experience as a training professional, has got to be huge value.
Right, absolutely. So we created the Government Workforce Learning Innovations Conference with just that in mind, which is there are a lot of conferences out there that are for learning and development, but we know that it is important to bring a certain type of people, and we focus in the conference really heavily on both the subject matter experts that we bring in and the attendees to make sure that it's cross-agency. If you have everyone siloed around one agency that's already talking to each other, that doesn't help. So we focus really hard on making sure that both the subject matter experts and the attendees represent all levels of the organization, and as well as many organizations. This year we actually had people from over 50 agencies representing federal, state, local, and universities. So it was a really good mix of people.
It was, and so that conference was actually at the end of September, which was fortuitous timing, given the events of October 1st, which we'll talk about in a minute. And I know you have resources there, so I believe we're going to point people to the governmentworkforce.com website. Look for 2013 highlights, and there's recordings there and some other resources as well. What for you this year, because this is the third year that we've done this conference, what was different this year?
This year, we were able to get an even higher caliber of speakers. Or we call them subject matter experts because it's an unconference and very informal, formal in an informal way. And so we had people like Catherine Medina, Reginald Wells, Danette Campbell, all who are very invested in the training and development community in the government, and they came and gave up their time in order to talk at the conference. Also this year we started doing innovation labs, because you can talk about innovation, but until you actually do it, it's hard to put it into practice when you leave the conference and go back to the office. So we had hands-on workshops where people were actually using their government challenges and creating innovation at the conference.
And I know that we talked a little bit about that before the conference actually started, the idea of this lab experience, and also the focus on really making sure that people are connecting with each other there, to your point earlier about being able to take that connection back to work the next day. truly valuable. I think, do you hear from people who've attended the conference about that piece of it, the networking piece?
Absolutely. That's the primary reason people come to a conference, and especially a conference like this one, because it's so we leave so many opportunities to make sure that you meet people. We even have a water cooler area where it's sort of forced conversation to meet your neighbor and find out what their challenges are. A whole map of agency logos where you leave your business card, and then somebody who wants to talk to somebody in that organization can come and meet them. And so after an event like that, we know that you have shaken hands with somebody, and that you are really had a meaningful conversation, and you can easily call them the next day when you have a challenge. Well,
and we are being in the DC area, the government shutdown was felt pretty significantly, I would say. If it wasn't happening to you, it was probably happening to your neighbor or somebody like that. So what did we do? What did ASTD do, the government community, do to help people that were going through that and continue to do?
We wanted to make sure that the government community knew that ASTD was there with them. We understood, and so we are making the Public Manager Journal available for a set period of time to government employees, and we're going to announce how to access that through astd.gov on Twitter, so follow us. We're also going to focus an entire issue of the journal around the shutdown, talking about how to engage employees again after they have been through something like this. We are going to have stories of feds and state and local government employees who can champion why they still want to be a government employee after they've gone through such an experience. So we hope that will be a valuable resource for the community.
Yeah, I was reading, it's interesting that you mentioned the engagement piece, because I was reading something probably in the Washington Post about to put yourself in the position of a government worker who was furloughed during the shutdown because their job was deemed, not critically important. Coming back from that has got to be really difficult, and for managers and trainers to find ways to get people fired up about what they're doing again.
Right. And especially when there's a timeline around the next time this may or may not happen. But we have seen a lot of spirit from the government employees when they write us that it's okay, it happened, and they're ready to do their jobs again. And so we want to be able to give them a valuable resource to help jumpstart that and keep going with their work.
All right, so we have a bunch of resources that Carrie outlined, several of which you can find on the community page on the blog there. There's always content there. But you mentioned about making the Public Manager, the quarterly journal that ASTD publishes with the bureaucrat, free, available for a period of time, and people can find out about that again through Twitter.
Right, on ASTD.gov.
At ASTD.gov. So if you're not already following Carrie and her team there, you need to get with the program. But that will be a great place to find out where the public manager's access points are, and they're always sharing great content there. So I believe because you are a community of practice manager, one of your jobs is to be looking for content and content contributors. Yes. Tell us how people can connect with you.
Absolutely. Please email us at publisher@thepublicmanager.org with any ideas, or tweet us, even better, so that everyone can see that you're involved in your ideas. We'd love to hear from you. And join us at any webcast or future conference and event.
Sounds good. All right, you heard it from Carrie. She is looking for content contributors. If you've got something to say to people who do training and development in the government sector, Carrie's the person you want to connect with. She will take good care of you, I promise. Thank you again for taking time out.